Good evening. Welcome to Rockland Arts Festival. My name is Michael Kraft. I'm one of the coordinators of the Rockland Arts Festival. And tonight we have Art Curators Q&A. Everybody should go and check out www.rocklandartsfestival.org for all of the upcoming events that we have through February 9th. You must register to attend the events. Also, please stand by at the end of this event because we will be announcing a winner for a prize from one of our sponsors. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. And I would like to introduce John Patrick Schutz, who's going to be your host tonight, talking to these wonderful curators. John, do you want me to keep track of the questions in the Q&A for you? Or
Yes, please, if you would. That would make life easier.
Okay, great. Okay, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, to this year's version of our Speaking with the Curators, our Curators Roundtable. This is the third time I've had the privilege of hosting this, and I enjoy it thoroughly every year. I learn so much. We learn so much when we do this, and the interaction between the curators, who are mostly also artists themselves, makes for really stimulating conversation and very thoughtful dialogue that we can all process and go through our heads and say, that's a new thought for me. Let's see if we can develop some more wonderful discussions. We have 5 curators with us, generally based out of the Hudson Valley. I'm going to ask each of you in turn to introduce yourself and just give a very quick affiliation, and then we'll start with getting some of the work done. If anybody's wondering why I'm here, I have a couple of qualifications for this. I am the Nyack Village historian, so historically, this is a very art-filled village. I used to be the editor of Provincetown magazine for 3 years, and at that point, I had to do an in-depth interview with an artist every week and cover all of the art openings, which in Provincetown is usually good 20 each week. So I do have some background in this, and I'm looking forward to learning more from these folks. So let's start off. Carla, how about you introduce yourself?
Sure. Ever since I lived in Mississippi, I've decided that I have to have 2 names, so it's Carla Ray. And I'm a kind of an outlier as a curator. I'm an independent curator. I'm mostly an artist. I come up with some what I think are great ideas for creative projects, and then I invite every artist I know of who might be interested to participate with me. I've done some traditional curating, and I think I cut my teeth as for 13 years being part of feminist artist-run galleries in New York City.
Excellent. I was looking through your bio. I looked through some of your work. It's very impressive. I love your approach to social justice issues. I love the fact that you can use humor as well.
Thank you.
It hit me very, very much as a coincidence that Hildegard von Bingen, who has been a hero of mine since I was a kid in Catholic school, is someone that you brought up in what's going to be one of your latest exhibits. Could you very quickly mention a little bit about that? I love the whole idea of pairing 2 people together in your exhibits. Please, a little bit on that one, perhaps?
Sure. The piece Hildegard of Bingen meets Herman Melville is going to be in a show at Hudson Valley MoCA, which is here in Peekskill where I live. The title of the show is War. I think it's going to be a fabulous show, so anyone who can should get there to see it. I think it opens on the 20th of February. The piece that I did, I really initially thought I shouldn't really send that piece to the show because it's really the opposite of war. It's really about 2 people that are very, very different playing a game. So there's competition, but it's people learning about each other and understanding each other. People that come from different, in this case, different centuries, but also have extremely different worldviews. So it is part of a 7-part series called the Seance series, where I bring back people I really, really admire, and have them meet each other across great, great differences. So that's what that's about.
I remember one of them was also Anne Frank and Schweitzer. Was that correct?
Yes, it is. Anne Frank and Albert Schweitzer, who actually are the only pair that shared a time frame. Most of the participants who are paired live in totally different time frames. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to move on to a couple of the other curators. We'll be back because I have some questions for you about self-curation. But we'll get back to that. Rosa Van Zandt, how about you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background?
Hi everyone, I'm Rosa Van Zandt. I'm a curator. I'm actually an artist again after a 10-year hiatus. I'm currently the gallery and events manager at Pelham Art Center. And prior to my current role, I would oversee the public art program for the city of Yonkers, and I also used to run Yonkers Arts Weekend. Very excited to learn about all of you and hear more about what you all do. Thank you for having me.
You just said that you took a break of almost 10 years from being an artist yourself. What brought you back to your creativity? What brought you back to being an artist again?
Honestly, just being in this current role as the gallery manager at Pelham Art Center, I'm surrounded by so many creative individuals, starting with my coworkers, the artists that exhibit with us, and especially the artist club that I recently have been hosting events for, and just getting to know everyone that is in the Pelham community because we are the main art center. I have to say that I've just been so inspired to start again. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
A little bit, give us a little bit on some of the challenges of being the curator at an arts center. I assume that you have funding and all the rest, and I'm wondering what are the challenges that you might face in that particular environment?
Well, that's an excellent question. But to be totally transparent with you, I'm still fairly new. I started with this new role in April. So definitely each exhibition, each project will always pose a challenge, but I can't really say that there's been any main challenges that have really stuck out to me. I've just been really enjoying the process. And in particularly, I have been really enjoying just curating and mapping out basically where everything goes and just really getting to know each artist and getting to know each artwork with each show.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I'm going to switch on to the next person, but again, we're going to come back to that question of how do you curate yourself, which is something I really wanted to discuss with everybody because most of you are indeed artists of your own. You are already doing your own artwork plus working with someone else. So thank you. I'll be back in just a minute. Zara, you're up next.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. By training, I'm a pathologist, and um, I'm an artist by heart. But after uh, graduation from pathology residency, life circumstances brought me back to my passion, art. I started showing my art in group shows and solo shows. I had a couple of solo shows till I had to open Vanda Gallery in New Rochelle. I'm kind of new to this process. And right now I have third curating experience and I lined up two more. I'm kind of brand new here and I love to hear your stories and share what with you guys.
Can you tell us how has your medical experience, your knowledge of the human body affected your own personal art?
It's really interesting. When I was looking at the microscope, high power or low power, it was look like I'm looking at abstract art or looking at the earth from above or a space. It was interesting that everything looked connected. Even though before going to medical school, I was interested in classic type of painting. My dad was a painter, and I influenced by him from early age. After graduation, I went back to painting. I started to these abstract things that I have been seeing into painting, and I use cell pattern to make abstract landscape, or I use the nature patterns to, for example, make paint that have the nature footprints in. And in this way, I really tell that I influenced by my background in medicine.
That's, to me, that's actually very fascinating. When I read your biography, I was just very impressed that you went from the one world to the other and somehow found a way to meld them both. We tend to think of doctors as being the scientific mindset, of being the intellectual side, artists being more the emotional and the creative side. Seeing those two things blend is kind of a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Alexis, you would be up next.
Yes, so I am the head of exhibitions at Piermont Public Library in very close to Nyack in Piermont on the Hudson. And I also teach a wide range of art classes there for grades 1 through adults. Interestingly, I had another job curating when I first graduated college at the Martha's Vineyard Art Association. So, but I've done a lot of teaching of art over the years and try to squeeze in my own art as well. I have 4 kids ranging from just turning 2 to 13. So it's definitely a bit of a juggle, but I do try to keep up with my own art a little bit as well.
Very good. That's very cool. And again, you're also going to be part of this roundtable on how do you curate yourself. You have an interesting challenge. You're at a public library, and your focus is very frequently educational. Mm-hmm. What are the challenges? What are the joys of those things?
Well, so we have 2 of my favorite shows of the year. We have one show in December, which is a group show called our Gift of Art show. And that's when we invite anyone who has had an exhibition at the library in the past to come back. So it's this wonderful, like, kind of alumni group show of people going back to the 1990s who've exhibited at the Piermont Library. And then my other favorite show is in June, we do our student art show. So that's all of my students. We do this one just for the kids. So, but they range from grade 1 to grade 12, and we usually have a theme. So that's in June. And that one, we don't have things framed. It's more painter's tape all over the whole library. So it's a lot of art, and it's very colorful and, just very joyful. But yes, we do, we try to have obviously like a variety of art, and we even have done some local history, things like that as well. But mostly local artists.
So I'm just curious, Betsy Francofini, did she wind up being one of your
yes,
photographers?
She is one of our alumni who shows in Gift of Art every year. Mm-hmm. We have it's great. We have some artists like Jim Kimak, who has gone on to be very successful, but I believe maybe his first solo show was at the Piermont Library going back to the 1990s. And he still puts things in our holiday show every year, which is so nice. We just had Francis Wells, who's another, very well-loved local Hudson River painter. So yeah, we have a really nice variety. And we also we give some preference to Piermont residents since it's, their library. So we have, a lot of people who it's their first time show, and then some people who are, operating at more of a professional level. So it's a very nice mix.
As a librarian's son, my mother, Irene Schutz, was the front desk librarian at Blauvelt Library from 1960 until COVID. until COVID set in, and she finally had to retire at 91 because her doctor said, Irene, you're the first person everybody breathes on when they come in the door. Stop doing this. She would still be doing it at 94 if she had the
Oh.
opportunity to do so. Are libraries still relevant?
I think absolutely. I mean, I still obviously, maybe not the best example, but I only read real books. I don't do anything digital. I like the actual book in my hand. But yeah, I mean, we still have so many people coming in for books. We have a lot of digital books that you can access through our system. We have a lot of people coming in with their laptops just to, people who might be working from home who want to get out and have a little more energy. So they come to our library. We're overlooking the Hudson. So it's a very lovely spot with beautiful views. So we have a lot of people doing their work, a lot of kids programs. And I think libraries in general are trying to move into having more and more programs, to be sort of like a community educational arts center. But we definitely still have a lot of books coming in and going out and all the new releases coming in. So
good. I like to hear that.
yes.
I would just hate to
Yes.
lose our libraries. I think they
I
are
know, I know. Well, there are so many people who still, love the libraries and browsing the stack. So we're keeping it going.
excellent. Finally, I'm going to move along to Andre.
So I'm actually the outlier here. I do not work in the Hudson River Valley. I live in Hartford,
True.
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
And I curate in two spaces. So there's the 224 Eco Space, which is a community arts center in Hartford, and I also curate for UConn Health Center. I manage a collection of almost 3,000 works of art at the health center, as well as curate exhibits in a gallery space. At the 224 Eco Space, I'm their director of programming, and I run a fellowship for artists in my area on top of curating two spaces there. We have a 5,000 square foot space that I curate, as well as our corridor gallery space. I've been creating and working as an artist for 17 years now, and 10 of those years have involved independent curation. I've had both of my gigs, my current jobs as what I'll say is a formal curator, actually working for an organization doing that work for almost 2 years. 1 year at UConn, actually going on 2 years at the 224.
Excellent. You have by far the most unique challenge of all of the unique challenges in this group of curators. I would love to hear how you get your shows, your exhibitions, your own work out there to both communities that are not served as well with the arts and communities that are. Are you able to bridge? Are you able to make that crossover between the folks standing around in the gallery with their wine in one hand and their cheese in the other, going, oh, that's a wonderful piece right there, and the folks in the neighborhood who maybe don't get exposed to art all the time? Your work is so challenging and so important in social justice terms to try and have these two groups understand each other. That's got to be tough. Can you enlighten me at all about that or anything?
Well, fortunately, the 224 Eco Space happens to be in the heart of one of those communities. So we actively try to engage as much as we possibly can through our programming. We're a place that rents out spaces for people to use, as well as providing our own programs and art shows, et cetera, et cetera. As an artist who came up in an underserved community and heard a lot of no's, I had to learn how to make a yes. So a lot of us out here do independent curating out of necessity. It's a skill that we need to build for ourselves in order to make a way to get our art out there and to let our voices be heard. So there's just a lot of artists in this area, but unfortunately there aren't a lot of spaces for us to exhibit our work. So we deal with that challenge. So, I have this unique opportunity in the 224 eco space where I can create shows that are more inclusive and diverse and inviting, and actually, they'll attract that crowd that you're talking about, but they're also going to attract people from the community that we're in, because that's who we're serving, and that's where we're based. And we're unapologetic about it. So it is a challenge in some ways, but it's not an obstacle we um that we can't get past. It's one of
Well,
those
it
things
doesn't look
where
like
you
there's
need the
very
right,
much that you can't get past from
yeah, you
reading
need the right
your
person in the
history.
right place to
Uh-huh.
be honest. That's what it is. You just need the right people in the right places. And fortunately for us at the 224, we're in a location that is ideal, and we also have programs that help combat that issue.
Very good. Again, very impressed with what you do and what you've gotten accomplished, especially in Connecticut, which we do think of Connecticut as being a very open and liberal place, but at the same time, it has one of the biggest inequities financially in the whole country. And it really does appear, at least from the outside looking in, as I went through all of the work that you've done, that you're accomplishing it. And that's really wonderful. Kudos to you and your programs. I see that we have some questions, and we're going to have Rockland Arts Festival pop back in and ask a couple of questions that have been typed in. And then we'll get back to, I want to talk about self-curating, and I also want to talk about some more special challenges. Thank you, Andre.
Some of the questions they already typed in. So I don't know if you want me to still.
Well, it would be good for the other people who are watching. So why not?
Okay. Let me go back and see. Okay. Okay. So for Rosa, does the Pelham Art Center accept applications from artists for shows? She's on mute.
Oops.
I'm so sorry. I didn't
It's
realize I
okay.
was. So it really depends on the show. We always have outside artists, or maybe artists that are, like in our circle in the community. Maybe some are artist club members, but truly every show is different. For example, right now we have the faculty exhibition up. And a few months ago, we had the student exhibition, we had the artist club exhibition, but we do have one coming up in the spring. It's our Teen Artist Council curated show, and our teen engagement coordinator is going to be co-curating that with me. So that one is literally open to everyone. And what's interesting is that last year we accepted so many submissions that even I think it was a 7-year-old in Alabama who was in the show as well. So it really just depends on the show, I would say. They're always so different, which is very exciting.
Okay, I have another one for Rosa. Is curating different or difficult without a permanent executive director in place? We all miss Charlotte.
So for those of you who never got the privilege to meet Charlotte, she was our executive director and she passed away in August. So it's been very, very hard, as you could imagine. We're a very small team. We're all really close. We're all friends. So it was definitely a very difficult time for us, and it's still very difficult. So yes, it's very different. But every day, through the different programs that we put on, through the different exhibitions, different events, different outreach programs, everything, every day we just want to make her proud because we do so much that we really never slowed down. We just keep going because we know that that's what Charlotte would want us to do, to keep making art happen for the community and to keep each other strong through all of it. So yes, it has been a tremendous, tremendous difficult time for us, but we're all getting through it together.
Okay, we have a question for Zahara. Your new gallery is beautiful. Is there a meaning behind the gallery's name?
Thank you very much. Vanda, I try to find a name that I'm originally from Iran. I try to find a name to be easy to remember, easy to pronounce, and have meaning in Persian and have meaning in English. And I came to Vanda, which means a flower in English, and in Persian it means goals, it means dreams. And it's kind of my own dream to have this space, to have arts for the community here.
Okay.
That's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Andre, are you still curating at the health center? How is that different from curating at a traditional gallery?
So I did type up an answer to that question, but I'll reiterate. So at the health center, their primary mission is to create an environment that's conducive to healing. So there are some restrictions on what type of artwork we accept into the collection, even after the fact that they're donations, right? So if it's something that can be triggering for patients, we probably would not want to accept that into our collection because we're not going to show it, and it wouldn't do anybody any justice, right? So we have a standard that we follow, and there's certain guidelines for how you display artwork, the type of artwork that you display throughout a hospital, and different placements. Now, the gallery side of this, because we do have a gallery at the health center, is a little different. There's less restriction, but I still have to be cognizant of what the organization's mission is, right? It still has to align with creating a space that is a bit more uplifting, a space that keeps your mind off of whatever it is that you're in the hospital for. People are struggling with various degrees of pain. They're visiting people who are going through stuff. It can be a stressful environment. So I wouldn't put anything that's like politically charged or anything that's like super religious in our gallery because it could create a tense environment. But I do invite artists to show in our gallery who push the envelope a little bit in terms of what the traditional aesthetic is in the hospital. Just because there's a guideline that I have to follow doesn't necessarily mean everything has to look the same. And so I'm in this position now where I can kind of challenge that a little bit. Like, yeah, we can't use things that have a lot of red in them, for instance, because it can be triggering. But what other colors and can be incorporated into a piece besides something that's primarily blue because it's calming? And how is the color red used? Because it may be triggering for one set of patients, but not for others, and context matters. So I'm able to challenge certain things and kind of get people thinking outside the box a little bit with curating in a health center space. Plus, I don't like the packages that we get from firms because they're all commercial and corporate, and I'm not a commercial corporate type of artist. So
really,
far
I
from
hadn't suspected that.
it.
Okay, we have another question. It's just, I guess, thrown out to anybody. I'm an independent curator. When looking to work with a gallery space, do you have to bring your own production team for installations?
Ooh, let's all answer that one.
Yeah, that really depends on the space. It depends on the organization that you're working with. Some places they'll rent out raw space to you, and it's for you to build whatever it is you have envisioned for your exhibit. Some places have a team in place that will help you install. In my experience, I've had a little bit of all of the above. There's one place out here where you pay a deposit, you get the gallery space, and the sky's the limit for what you can do. And then there's other places that I've gone to where I have an idea and I'd like to curate, and there's an installation team, and they'll help me hang the show and put everything in how I'd like them to be placed and adjust the lighting and all that stuff for me. So it really depends on where you're going and what you envision for that particular gallery space that you're working in.
Anyone else? Carla, you're an independent.
Yeah, I would love an installation team. Oh my God, that would be so wonderful. I pretty much do all the installing myself, even in a curated show. Sometimes I have to hire somebody to help me. Some of the shows that I saw curated are really invitational. And so in that case, I sort of lean on the artists who are participating to come help with the installation. But in the instances where I have work that is in a show that is has the gallery itself has its own installation team. I'm a really happy camper.
Cool.
For example, for me, I have a hanging system, and the light, it's always really, because it's kind of new, it's helping me. Usually it's me and just one person that helping me with the gallery. It's just two of us, and I haven't been in any trouble.
We have at Paramount Library, we have the artists hang their own shows, and we have the hanging system too with the rods and the hooks. So it's pretty easy to use. No one's using nails or anything. But that's part of our policy, is that the artists do hang their own shows, and they usually bring someone along to help. And I kind of make sure they're comfortable with the system and give them, if they want a little feedback. But it's pretty much the artists do their own shows, except for the two group shows, which I hang myself with a friend or two.
So
Well,
at
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add in. So at Pelham Art Center, we're very lucky because we have an incredible installer. So she physically hangs each piece in the wall, and then about 2 to 3 days prior, I spend about 2 days mapping out exactly where everything will go. And I have to say, this is my favorite part, and maybe all of you might agree on this, but I always create a story. And sometimes I even find that it builds off of the individual stories of the artworks that I'm curating itself. And usually I start by finding the biggest piece in the room. And by big, I mean, yes, size, but also, visually, how much space does it take up?
Mhm.
How bright are those colors? And do I see that as the most prominent item, piece of art in the room? And then from there, I just kind of build, and I almost make like a color story, different passages of color, but also finding like little Easter eggs in each painting to basically create my own visual. So, for example, there was this one piece that had a lot of white and red stripes, and I found another piece from a totally different artist, and he was wearing a striped shirt. So I just started having fun, and that's really how I do it. And then from there, our installer goes and hangs. So it's a pretty great system. We're really happy to have her.
So it's very visceral. Your reaction at the moment, what you're seeing or feeling or feeling inside from the work that you're looking at, is how you begin the process of getting it installed, and you are lucky enough to have an installer to do that. That's
Well,
pretty wonderful.
yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Do we have any more questions we should address?
Yes, we have one more question. Oh, wait a second. It disappeared. Where did it go? Okay, here it is. It's from Patricia. How can I, a person with little connection with any art groups, find curators? That's just thrown out to anybody. Yes.
I mean, your local library could be a good place to start. Most, at least where, in Rockland, I think most of the libraries have an exhibition space. And I think most of the libraries try to give some form of preference to their own, local patrons. So that could be a good place to start. And then you have the experience, you have a solo show on your resume, and you can kind of take it from there.
That's an excellent suggestion. And you're right. In Rockland County, at least, most of the libraries do have exhibition spaces. Blauvelt does, Nyack does, Piermont does. There are some wonderful spaces. New City certainly has an incredible space. Finkelstein has a specific but very beautiful space to work with. So the library is an excellent, excellent way to start to get those connections. My dad did that. He actually had shows at your library and at Blauvelt Library before he passed. He actually turned into a pretty sensitive watercolorist for somebody who was a construction worker from Brooklyn.
Amazing.
Nice. So since Patricia mentioned in a previous comment that she's located in Hamden, Connecticut, you have the New Haven Arts Council, which is one town over. They're a great resource. I'm on their email list. I'm getting stuff almost every day from them. So get in touch with them. Get on their email list. Visit their website. Look to see what's going on in the New Haven area. Everything from grant opportunities to exhibition opportunities are usually posted on websites like theirs. There are art guilds and art leagues throughout Connecticut that you can join. Every I won't say every county, but there's at least, if I remember correctly, 5 or 6 regional arts organizations throughout Connecticut. New Haven Arts Council is one of them, but there's also Greater Hartford Arts Council. There's one based in the Waterbury area. There's one in the London area. Um, there are, the libraries was just mentioned. That's a great opportunity to try to get your work shown. A lot of libraries have exhibition spaces in them, any cultural centers, and there are traditional galleries in your area as well. Really just put your feelers out there. Don't be afraid to send an email and ask what's going on at a particular organization. They will definitely tell you and let you know. Um, there's no shortage of opportunities to show throughout the state of Connecticut. It's just a matter of really digging deep and finding the information. Sometimes the communication can be better with some of these organizations. I'll admit that. But there's definitely opportunities. Another website that you want to check out is the Connecticut Arts Alliance website, as well as the Connecticut Office of the Arts.
Here, for example, in Southern Westchester, I'm in New Rochelle, obviously. I start going to a studio visit, the artists that reach out to me. If anybody interested can send me an email, info@vandagallery.com, and I can check out the portfolio. And if I'm interested, I'll go for a studio visit, and I love to help.
I want to sort of piggyback on what people have said about libraries with just a very short story. But in 2012, I set up a project that involved a card catalog. It was a 50-drawer card catalog that I came by. And I had solicited an invitation to every artist I knew if they wanted to spend a year making 300 cards to fill one of the drawers. And the people that were crazy enough to respond to that and actually say they would do it got a drawer. So some people even shared a drawer. Now, the back story to that is for years and years, I had done what most artists do, what we all do, which is submit my work here and there, cold letters of inquiry, sending proposals, showing my work, glad handing it, which isn't a bad thing to do, to just go to events and physically, when it's safe from COVID, physically talk to people and let them know who you are. But having done that for many years, and then I had this project and it was ready to go, and I wrote a proposal and I sent it to 50 libraries. Within a half an hour, I had a library accept it. Now it's a card catalog, so the librarians were thrilled because they all remembered card catalogs, and it was a really cool thing. It also didn't require an exhibition space beyond just the space that little card catalog took up. But within a week, I had booked that show for a full year. So that's how responsive libraries are. They're a really, really good place to start. And also think about how you can package your work other than something that hangs on the wall. If you can be very creative about that, sometimes you get your work out there.
Excellent. I would like to inject at this point and take a hold on the rest of questions for a moment, because there was one topic I very, very much wanted to get to. And you can include your own self-curation in that, because that was another topic. But I think the more important one has to do with social justice. Several of you have very heavy influence in your art with social justice topics, and I admire you very much for that. I do the same in my own personal one-man shows. Each of us, I think, I'm fairly certain, has been through discrimination of many kinds as we've lived our lives, either being people of color, or in my case, I've been HIV positive since 1985, and most of my friends from college and so on are all dead. And it took me 22 years to marry my husband before it became legal. I imagine that Zara has had some anti-Middle East things thrown in her direction during her time period. All of us have faced those kinds of struggles. Is it important to have social justice issues in our art? Is there still a place for art that is just art for art's sake? It's pretty. Or have we moved into an age that's so cynical that we really need to have some sort of, I hate to use the word agenda, but some sort of underlying meaning, rather than just, this is a beautiful portrait, this is the Hudson Valley School, and that's, Bus Goebel that we just painted a picture of. Can any of you address that?
Well, we need it all. As artists, we tell the story of the world around us. We are the people who document what happens, right? Whether we're writing it or creating an image or whatever creative way that we're expressing what's going on, it's our job. Yes, we need to make art for art's sake, because we can't always be so heavy. Sometimes we just want to relax and make a thing, and that's it. Sometimes we have something very profound that we want to say. Sometimes we are in a position where we can create an atmosphere that's conducive to tough discussions happening. All of the above is necessary. And I think that if artists did not address matters of social justice or promote social awareness or even address political themes, it would be a disservice to society as a whole, because we are the people that make it possible to talk about these things in a productive manner.
Truth.
Perfect.
Any of you want to jump in on this?
No, I was just going to say that. I'm so sorry. That was just perfectly said. Like everything you said, 100% agree. You took it out of my mouth.
Anyone else get one on that?
Certainly, when I was a teenager, I read a quote that I couldn't deal with at the time because I wanted to be an artist. And the quote was, does the poet continue to write poetry when the house is burning down? And for me, and everyone has a different way to answer that question as a creative person. I love what Andre said. And I do agree that we need to keep room. We need to make room for art's sake, for something just so mind-bogglingly beautiful that you are struck by it. But for me personally, especially at this time in our history, I can't shut up when it comes to social justice. There's just too much at stake right now. And so I had a real hard time with the piece that I recently did because it wasn't originally something based on social justice. It turned out, when it was complete, to confront earth justice or environmental justice. I had a really hard time getting started on it. And it was because it wasn't in your face justice, social justice orientation. So I know how that is.
As an Iranian, I don't know if you are familiar with women life freedom movement in Iran. I'm working on a series that I'm trying to give a voice to voiceless, and having a series, some portraits and some just other kind of representative work related to this issue. And I had people in my show about this, and I have people that talking about these issues in my future shows. And I think it's one of the most important jobs of art. I think it's a calling for artists. It's depend on them to bring to the attention of all the community, people who neglect, who just ignore. It just bring to their attention by the beauty of art. This need attention. This subject need some attention, and we should take care of it. It shouldn't be ignored.
brilliant. I applaud you for that particular topic. And please email me when you have more of that material in your gallery, because I would love to come and see some of the art from some of the women of Iran and the struggles that they go through and are still going through now. I would appreciate that. Kudos to you, by the way, for that.
Thank you.
There are
Okay.
questions if you want me to go on.
Yes, we do. Please.
Can anyone speak about insurance policies? Has anyone established or reestablished insurance within particular spaces? What would be the best route to approach securing insurance in a space so artists feel a sense of protection?
We have artists sign a disclaimer saying that we're not responsible for damaged work. We have never had a work be damaged. So, you know, we do have obviously people sitting at the desk right in front of the gallery space. But that is our policy. We don't insure the work at the library.
So probably then the artist should have their own insurance.
Yeah, it's best that the artist always has their own insurance for their work, just as a business practice. Not all spaces are going to have insurance. So, for instance, at the health center, we don't insure the artwork that's on display in our gallery space, and we express that in the exhibition agreement that you know it's up to you to have your own insurance. But at the 224, we do have insurance that will cover everything in the building, including art shows. It really depends on the organization that you're dealing with, but just as a rule of thumb, if you can, if you can afford the policy, and they're not really that expensive, it's just a good idea to have it, because you always want to be covered. You know, as a business, this is your merchandise, right? This is your inventory, and you want to make sure that you're covered, even if it gets damaged in transit when you're bringing it to a show, or if something, God forbid, would happen in your studio where your artwork is destroyed, you still want to be covered.
Excellent advice. Anybody else?
I'm in the process of getting insurance right now. I have the same disclaimer, but I'm in the process of getting insurance.
I know of a case personally where there was no insurance on certain art pieces, and a horrifying thing happened. I was at Fordham University from 1980 through 1984. In 1982, there was an exhibition of sculpture all over our campus, the Bronx campus, not our Lincoln Center campus, and many of the pieces were vandalized by the students. Particularly, the one that they torched there was an artist who had done a very tall female nude and a very tall male nude. The male nude was burned to cinders. It had been made completely out of wood, so it was easy for whoever thought that this was an offensive piece to do the vandalism that they did. Several of the artists, including that one, were not insured, and it turned an absolutely awful situation into an even bigger tragedy, because not only had their work been destroyed, which I still to this day find horrifying and embarrassing that I was at a location where that happened by my fellow students, but also they lost any financial investment that they had made into it and anything they might have gained from it in the future. On so many levels, it wasn't a good thing. So I think all of you recommending that people have insurance, along with hopefully maybe the gallery having it or the space having it, but definitely to have it for themselves is very wise advice, because I saw what happened when people didn't have that insurance. And who would have ever thought that people would vandalize an art exhibition? And yet it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
There was one, because I know we're getting close to time, but I thought that this was a good question, maybe the last question. It just disappeared on me again. Where is it? Okay, wait, it was answered. That's why. Okay. Would it be best to approach curators with a fragment of a collection or the entire collection? And are cold emails totally appropriate? Totally inappropriate, sorry. Whoever wants to take it.
I think
I would
cold
just
emails are absolutely fine. I get a lot of cold emails all the time. I mean, and I think probably most people would feel the same, or at least at some very exclusive gallery. I would say, why not? Send an email, come in person. I think it's always nice to, put a face to the words and the art. And um, I mean, in terms of the whole collection, I would say you'd want to narrow it down a bit, maybe what you're thinking you might want to show. I think it's nice to have, if you're looking to have a show, to have a cohesive body of work. But you can always show some other things just to give an example of your range or your history as an artist.
Yeah, it's good to know the versatility of an artist and what what they have to offer as far as their work. We don't need to see everything. That can be a bit overwhelming. But like Alexis just said, having something that shows a cohesive body of work, it shows that you can explore a theme and really dig deep into it. That's always a plus. Cold emails are fine, but just popping up is not. If you, in some cases, if you don't have a scheduled meeting with somebody, right, and you show up and you just expect them to all of a sudden give all their attention to you, and you've got this work that you want to show, it can be off-putting. So the best thing to do would be to send that cold email and await a response. Your response may not come quickly because we get cold emails all the time. But that doesn't mean that we're ignoring you. You might just be in a queue of responses that we have to give out, right? And if your work stands out, so for instance, in that cold email, include some samples of your work, maybe a bio and CV. And if we look at that information and it seems like your work would fit what we're trying to do in our gallery space, we'll reach out and have a discussion with you. And most likely, in my case, I would set up a time to meet with you and to discuss your work even further. And then I would love to see a collection of your work. And, in this day and age, now you got websites, right? So put that link in the email. We'll go to it. We'll go and check out your website and we will look at, well, at least I'll speak for myself. I will look at everything. I'm an artist. I love artists. I enjoy looking at other people's work. So I'm going to go through your website probably with a fine tooth comb and really explore your work. But yeah, you don't have to show everything all at once the first time you're meeting someone. You really just want to make a nice introduction and the best way to show that you're serious is to begin that way. Have your CV prepared and maybe a bio and a couple samples, and then maybe do a follow-up if it's been a month and you haven't heard from us. Just do a quick follow-up email. Hey, I'm so and so. I sent you a message back in blah blah blah. I just wanted to see if you've seen my work. If not, it's okay. Maybe we can schedule some time.
And if you don't have a website, because they're kind of expensive to have and maintain, you can provide your Instagram,
Yep.
especially if you have an Instagram account that is dedicated to your art, and that's free.
Yeah, I want to mention that Instagram handle these days, and it acts like a bio, and it gives you the idea, a visual idea, how is your work look like, and it gives us the possibility to imagine your work in the theme of our collection and our exhibition. It helped a lot.
Thank you. Before we sign off, first of all, thank you to our 5 curators, but it would be remiss for me not to mention that we have just lost one of the greatest artists of the 20th and 21st century from right here in the Hudson Valley as a performing artist. Chita Rivera passed away at 91. Chita Rivera was still performing. Chita Rivera was still dancing. She lives right here in Blauvelt, lived right here in Blauvelt, and was part of our community, as well as being one of the most famous Broadway performers ever. She overcome so many obstacles in her life as a Latina, and she won the game of life. May we all live our art until we're 91 and we pass away. Chita Rivera, an absolute treasure that we all had. I'd like to thank everybody who was here, all of our curators. I hope you enjoyed having this chat. I certainly did. And this was definitely one of the most educational chats that we've had so far. I look forward to hearing from all of you again and hopefully getting to see some of your curated work and some of your own personal work. I thank you very much. My name is John Patrick Schutz. I'm going to hand it back over to Rockland Arts Festival.
Thank you. This was a great evening. And yes, Chita Rivera will definitely be missed. So now on to the prize that we're giving away tonight, which is 2 free admission passes to 5 Wits escape rooms. The winner I have here is Scott Hill. And I don't see Scott Hill on here. Scott, if you're somewhere else, you could raise your hand from another name, but it doesn't look like it. Okay. Next up, alternate winner is Amy Mott. Amy Mott, I see you here. So if you could send your mailing address to rocklandarts@gmail.com so we can send you your prize. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This was a great night. Please visit www.rocklandartsfestival.org for all of the upcoming events to register for. And also this is being recorded and it will be up on YouTube in the next couple of days or so. So be on the lookout. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
All right, this has been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.